Hey there, thanks for watching. This is Christiana on the Well-Behaved Wallet, and I am coming at you today with an update on my mom, who is currently living and working abroad in Israel. So this was a requested video, and I'm super happy to share because I just talked to my mom this morning, and I was like, people want to know how you're doing. So she was really happy to share her experience on living abroad so far. So if you remember, or if you don't know, my mom is left in the middle of July 15th, to go live and work at a guest house in right outside the Old City in Jerusalem, and she will be there for a solid 6 months until January of 2020. So she's coming back January 15th. So far she's been there for September, about 3 months, I would say, a little bit less than 3 months. So she's had some time to kind of get adjusted, to get used to her new living and working situation, so she is excited to kind of send her thoughts to you. So to give you some history, she's always loved Israel and the Israeli culture since she was super little. I mean, she little, as in 4 or 5 years old. She grew up in Michigan, and she has always been interested in the Jewish heritage. The Jews as a people. She has been to Israel prior to this time. I think she'd been 5 times before. So she worked for a college and a graduate school that would do tours. They had a professor that would lead tours every couple, maybe 2 or 3 times a year to Israel. And she would go with him on those tours. She would pay her way and kind of be his assistant and helping out. So I think eventually it got to the point where she got some either credit for it. She was earning her 3rd master's degree, that she was able to see the country and to learn from this professor. And it was really exciting for her to actually be going and to be learning about this culture and this people that she's always loved. So fast forward to February of this year, she had some changes go on in her job situation, and it was kind of like a crossroads for her. They decided to close the local branch of the college that she had been working at, the graduate school that she had been working at. And it was an opportunity for her to really reassess where she was in life and to kind of think about what she wanted to do going forward. So she has always wanted to, her dream has been to live half the year here in the States and spend half the year in Israel. This is since I was since I was a little, she had mentioned that dream. And we were my sister and I were raised to think very globally, and I think that I knew that she'd always had this in her head. So when she mentioned it back in the beginning of the year, I was like, well, this just made sense for her to do this now that her job situation had changed. So it was really kind of scary for me as her daughter because, and financially was the biggest sort of concern that I had. Then I thought, she loves to do this, so why not can fully support her in doing what she loves. Back in sort of 2008, I had gone abroad and was living and working abroad for 2 years. And it was always, we would say even then, she was my foundation on the ground, and she would send me things that I needed really badly from the States. And I said, I'm going to do this for you one day, kind of not even in jest, but just knowing that day would come. So that day is here. And I'm kind of keeping things running here at home, sort of making sure that things are checked off in the States, and supporting her how I can by sending things that she needs and by taking care of things that need to be taken care of, especially on the financial side here in the States. So that is kind of what I'm doing for her. So fast forward to now that she's been in Israel for about 2.5 months. What does she think? So I asked her today on the call what kind of her thoughts on a couple of these things. So first of all, the flight getting over there, I think it's an 7 or 8 hour flight. She had no problems. She's a great flyer. She loves flying. I love flying too. So she had a great time on the flight. The challenge was getting from the airport to the guest house where she is staying. So she is staying at the Christchurch Guest House, which is an Anglican ministry, and it's sort of a Christian ministry. It is a Christian ministry. She is working in the kitchens. She's doing food prep and service. And we're talking 5-star cuisine. So that is her role. So she knew that's what she would be coming into. So the dress is very casual, very comfortable. So those are the clothes that she brought with her. She knew she's funny in her packing. She's a great packer, and she's really gotten better as she's gotten older. Like, she's gone to at least a country a year for the past maybe 7 or 8 years. She's always been a traveler, and I think that her traveling skills have just gotten better. She's been to Thailand, Ghana, Israel, France, and Vienna. And where time leaving, Greece. Greece is another one. She would go with professors and as part of classes for the college that she worked for. So that was really a neat opportunity for her in her former working life. So all that to say that she's very good at packing, and I was kind of watching her. She brought her suitcases down to the living room, and she had 2 suitcases all packed. And then on the day of her departure, I took off from work to kind of help her get off and settled. And she, all of a sudden, there was a 3rd suitcase that emerged. And I was like, where did this suitcase come from? Like, so she went from 2 suitcases to 3, and I'm like, I think that might be a challenge for you. But so it was a challenge to get from the airport to the guest house. But she later learned, because she's very independent, like, she likes to do things on her own. She doesn't like to ask for help. She likes to handle things as she can. But she learned after being there a month or so that someone else who was coming to the guest house asked for help, said she would need to be picked up from the airport. And my mom was like, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could ask for help. So she's really learning, I guess, healthy interdependence at this point in this new sort of venture, in this lane that she hasn't lived in before. So that was her first sort of, that we both kind of had a chuckle about that, because, hey, it turns out you can ask for help. And she was kind of concerned as well, because she is over 60, and I think she felt like she needed to keep up with kind of the younger kids. But that's very much, like, my mom has more energy than 5 teenagers. She's super energetic, and she's always been that way, for all of my life, really. So I think that it's neat for her to be, I guess, as well as, bringing her own wisdom to the environment, she also is able to bring her energy as well. And she wanted to mention that there are actually 2 women that are older than she is that come regularly to help. So that was exciting for her as well. So in this center where she's working, it's an Anglican church, and there is a bookstore, a coffee shop, and an Anglican heritage center right in the middle of the old city, Jerusalem. She is rooming with, I think they're on their floor. They're on the 10th floor. There is an elevator. The view is just spectacular. It's like she has a view of the whole city down at her feet. It's really amazing. So she's sharing their 2 doubles and then a single, like, kind of in a loft, or in like a nook. So it's very much, and I call it like a college dorm style living accommodations. She's sharing a room. And that, if you've shared a room before, there are always challenges that come and go. You meet people, you get to know yourself, you get to know your own expectations, and it can be a challenge. So that I think for her is the biggest challenge, and getting the rest that she needs is challenging. And the schedule seems to vary. Sometimes she'll be on morning and breakfast, and then there will be other times when she'll be on lunch and dinner duty. So really keeping track of that. It's like doctor nurse's hours. Like, you need to really be on it with charting that. So she's doing that as well. But it seems like they're pretty, they look out for each other in terms of schedules and whatnot. So far it sounds like the biggest challenge is in living with other people, which would be challenging in any country, really. So the food was the second thing, was another thing that she'd mentioned that I know people had asked about, because it is a Western facility. It's a guest house where they're having visitors come from the West. It's very Western oriented food. She said it's usually meat, potatoes, and vegetables. For the Shabbat meal, for example, she said they would have rice, roast beef, green beans, and then challah on the table. So that's the type of food that they're eating. It's very, again, meat and potatoes, but I'm going to say classic American, but very, very well prepared. If I find pictures, I will insert some pictures of the type of food that she prepares and serves. It's just beautiful. It's like, I am a very utilitarian cook. Like, I like make it to eat, not to present, but it seems like here they really present the food well. So she's learning things about how to present food also. She's a really good cook. She just didn't, I guess, have cause. And now she's she's serving groups of 10 to 12 to 15. So she's really having an outlet for her creativity there. The chefs are all Arab, Palestinian Arab believers that she works with. So that's another sort of area of interaction for her that she's getting to learn about, is interacting with the cooks that she works with, as well as helping them serve. And she's a natural, she's kind of got natural hospitality skills. So I feel like that's pretty, that comes naturally to her, but what doesn't maybe come so naturally is working with other people. She's very independent. She's lived, pretty much like she has the whole house to herself, and now she's having to share a space and also to work with people. So that's for sure another set of skills that she's learning. And again, she loves it. She's in her element. She loves the country, getting to know the country and the city that she's in especially. They were going on an outing, she mentioned today, so I guess for Sunday. They're going on an outing to Haifa, which I guess is a beach, like resort-ish town, so she's excited to be doing that with the group of people that work in the Anglican mission. So there are fun, like, excursions as well. She goes on, there's a fellowship, I guess it's like a temple or a worship house that she goes to of Messianic believers on Saturdays. She goes to like thrift stores in the area. She has like people in the market. She gets her iced coffee, which is unusual for her. I'm shocked to hear that she drinks iced coffee. So she's got like her sort of key places that she goes to connect with, which you kind of make when you're living abroad. You have those like pockets of connection that you can kind of lean into, because it can be really unsettling getting your bearings in a new country when you're living there at first, and kind of overcoming that. It's essential to have people that you can count on, rely on for support while you're away, and you don't know these people, so you're really learning them as you go. So that's for sure a process that she's in the middle of, but it sounds like the caretakers of the mission where she is are very good at like mediating any sort of personality challenges, conflicts that might come up. So that's certainly very helpful for her. And then someone had asked also about like TV. Do they have any Western TV? She's like, they do have a TV, but it's almost never on. She said she watched one evening with the kids. She watched Fellowship of the Rings, so that was like a big thing for them. And then one night she came back and she's like, we just need to laugh. So they watched Cool Runnings, the movie Cool Runnings. So there's almost no TV. So it's really a chance to kind of look inward. I'm sure she has access to books. I'll have to ask her about them. She might have brought some. I wonder if she has any books that she's reading, but that's kind of an update on how she's doing. It's always a challenge, again, to get to be acclimated in a new surroundings, but it sounds like she's really adjusting well, and taking each day is a new learning experience, despite kind of anything that might come up. You learn new things about yourself, and sometimes it's not like they're not the easiest things to learn, but you wouldn't have learned them in any other setting, and it sounds like this is a very safe and supportive way for her to learn and process these new experiences that she's having. So that's just kind of a quick update on her. If you have any questions or just questions in general about living abroad, when I went abroad, I was maybe mid-20s, and that was in Asia, and she's now in Israel. So if you have any questions, and if you found this kind of looking for, I guess if you just have any questions at all about living abroad, let me know. Questions in general. So thank you so much for watching. Hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions for her, I will ask her those questions when we next speak. I'll try to answer them in the comments as they come up. But thank you as always for watching, and I hope that you'll keep watching. Bye.